Hello everybody! Today I'm going to show you how to do this particle system in Visual Effects Graph. So what you see here is that the particle spawn a rocket. So the rocket is a particle and it emits smoke from it as a trail, and also there's a explosion when it hits the ground. So what's really cool is that it's this rocket VFX visual effect has a child object that's named hit position, and if I move this one around, you can see that the rocket is searching for the target. So this is a really fun thing to do. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So first off, we're going to start in an empty scene. So we need to make let's see, visual effects graph. We're gonna name it rocket VFX rocket like this. We add it to the scene and we get the default, right? So we're also gonna have on this one we're gonna have a child, a 3D object, and a sphere. So we're gonna have it's gonna be hit. It's a moving object, So this is gonna be the goal for particles, right? And we're gonna have a script, so we update this. We're gonna have the create a C# moving object. And we add it to VFX, VFX like this. So the moving object component will update this visual effect object with the position of this sphere. So we're gonna do this, and it's pretty easy. First off, we're gonna using Unity engine.vfx like that. And we're also gonna have a public transform hit object hit transform, and we're also gonna have let's see, public visual. So this is the visual effect that we're gonna update is equal to, so we're gonna get the component visual effect like this. All right, so in the so first off, before I continue on this one, I need to show you that we need to create an attribute inside the visual effects graph. So we need to add a vector 3 that's going to be hit position like this. I'm just going to copy this one because this one is going to be the position that we're going to aim for. So if you see down here, yeah, the hit position represents the sphere. So if we go back here and we do visual effect dot set vector 3, and we use the attribute name that we used, and then we need to pass in the position. So hit transform dot local position. So we need to use the local position because the sphere is in as a child on the VFX, so that's why it's local position. So this should be it, and we are going to hit transform. We just add the moving object like this, So if we now use this information, let's say we just do set so let's say we here we do the set position, and the position at the moment is 0, 0, 0, but we're going to change it to the sphere's position and save it, and it's not working. Okay, so the visual effect is empty, and if we just restart, all right. Okay, so I know the problem. So the problem is because we have it in the start. Well, if we do awake, awake like this, that should be good. Visual effects, none. Moving object. All right, I don't know why, but we just add it manual instead. So we have the this should be working. I don't know why it's not working. Oh yeah, I know why. Because we are not. So the thing is, I don't want to press play to make this update and stuff. I want to iterate faster. So because of that, we're going to do this script to be edit, execute in edit mode. So this script will now execute in edit mode, and we don't need to press play to see it happen. So now you see it works. So if we take this one, move it around, yeah. So now we know that this connection with the information works. Cool. So let's see, first off, we need to set some things here. We don't need to spawn these many. We just need to spawn one particle per second. And also we want to set velocity by ourselves. We delete it. Set lifetime, we're gonna delete. Set position. We're actually gonna do it from the center. So we have the center, and we're gonna do the set lifetime. We're gonna have that as a 10 seconds. We're also gonna have a set velocity. We're gonna do 1, so it's gonna go upwards. Now you see them go upwards. This is a start. So the idea is that the the rocket is gonna go up, and then eventually during its lifetime it's gonna start targeting towards the spear, and it's gonna be nice. So we're gonna change to the rocket first. We're gonna have the Hdrp lit mesh. So we have the rocket, and we take the rocket mesh instead of the capsule. And with the base color, we change the base color map. We're gonna just add a random white one. This is a default checker, it's white enough. Now we see we have the white rockets. So I have vertex color on them. Actually, I'm gonna just set the size first. I'm gonna have it like, well, they're pretty big, 0.5. I'm just gonna make a shader to make sure they have the color. To create shader graph, Hdrp lit shader, can be VFX. So as you see here, if we open this shader graph that we just created, you see the material that we can use. But if we in here in this shader graph, we go to graph settings and we go to support VFX graph and tick it. And if you look down here and I press save, you see it adds a new shader. And this one is, we can use that inside visual shader graph. And we're also just gonna add vertex color like this. Super nice. Save asset, close it. And down here, we're just gonna drag and drop the new one. So now we have the colors on our rocket. Super nice. So eventually, in the update, we're gonna use a force. And this force, now you see it's first off the velocity is 1 up, and then we add in the x value. So the force is going in the positive x direction. So we're gonna, during the lifespan on, let's say, set lifetime 10 seconds, if we do age over lifetime, this one is remapped from 0 to 1. So 0.5 in this one represent 5 seconds. So if we do a curve and plug this one into here, then we can remap this 0 to 1 value. So let's say when the rocket is in a lifetime 0, we have a value of, let's say, 0.5 or 1 or 0. Or if we just do, let's say, this one, it goes from 0 up to 1. So when the rocket is life 1, life 10 seconds, the value is 1. This is really nice because we can use this. Because what we want to do, in the first lifetime in the rocket's life, we want the force to be upwards. And if we do a lerp, and then we do this one here, and we add this one into force like this, you see that the rocket is adding 10 to the force during the beginning, but eventually over here it's adding more and more of this value here. So the value we want to put in here is that eventually we want the rocket to start going downwards to the sphere. So we want to make a direction. So what happened in it? Here, I'm going to show you. So so when the so this is a particle, right? So when this particle is here, we want to add this kind of direction. So the way to do this particle number has a position. So the position A and the position B, they have they are calculated from this center, right? So the position the particle at position A needs the force that looks like this. So the way to do this is to take B minus A. That means that B would be moved down here, and then we need to normalize it. So then instead of going really far down, this direction will look like this. So this new vector, we will use that as a force to always point towards the goal. I hope that makes sense. So we have the hit position, right? And if we do get position, so this is the rocket's position. So if we do, as I showed you, subtract the hit position minus the rocket position and we normalize it. Now we have a normalized direction, and this vector, if we actually just add a multiplier to make it stronger and we put it in here, now at the end of the lifetime the rockets will start going towards the spear, but they are going really far up. You see, okay, we don't see the rockets like this, and that's because we need this particle system's bounds to be bigger. So we're going to do this size to 100, 100, 100. Now we can look really far. So what we need to do is to, well, crank this one up. It's going to make a little bit of difference, but they need to start tilting down so much earlier. So we just, instead of having the full target at the very end when the rocket dies, we do it in the maybe after 2 seconds, something like that. So now you see they start going down. So this is super nice. Maybe you can have it like in 3 seconds, something. And also in the force, we're going to change this to relative, so we can use the drag, because the drag is helping to drag the forces, so it's easier to control it. All right, so we're getting there. So the next thing we want to do is just make sure that this rocket is having the forward director along the velocity, and that's easy to do. You just add an orient to along velocity, and now it should work. Woo. So that's cool. And if we take this object and move it around, you see it following. So that's super cool. And all right, so we're gonna when this particle, well, this rocket hits the ground, we're gonna kill it, and we can do that with in the update particle section. So first off, we do a collide with plane, and we don't want it to bounce anything. So let's see. Well, it doesn't really matter because it won't bounce anyway. But what we want to do, the lifetime loss. So whenever it hits the ground, this is how much you want to remove from the lifetime. So if we put this to 1, the rocket will immediately die when it hits the ground. And this is an information we can use. So if we do an event, trigger event on die, now we have an event here that can trigger an explosion when the particle dies. So that's super nice. And so we're actually gonna have this just GPU event like this. So we have that setting up like that. Before we do that, we're gonna make the smoke trail on this rocket first. So that's pretty easy to do, and it's very similar to do. So what we're gonna do is trigger event on die. We can also add a trigger always. So always when the rocket is alive, we're gonna trigger an event as well. So we're gonna make an GPU event, and now we're gonna create the trail with the rocket. So we're gonna have the first off, we're gonna make the initialize particle. We're gonna have the update, and we're gonna spawn particle. It's gonna be a mesh Hdrp. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, the GPU event, it's an experimental feature. So to access it, you need to go to the edit preferences, and in the visual effects you need to tick the experimental operators blocks, and then you can access it. It's a good gotcha. So, and we're gonna make sure that the capacity is a lot, like 10,000. And we're also gonna do an let's make sure we have, so this capsule represents the smoke trail, and you can actually see it down here. The only thing that's the capsule has the shader from the plane, so we're gonna just change that to the default check white one. You can just have a white texture. It's gonna be good enough. And let's see, so we have it over there. It's just not really spawning after this rocket trail. So we're gonna, in this initialize particle, we're gonna do set size. Well, actually, I'm gonna do set random size. So I want it to be different sizes. So that's nice. And we also want to set position. So this is where we set the position after the rocket. So we do this with a get position like this. And what we do are we're taking the location at the source, and the source is this trigger event. This source will add the spear after, like this. So this is super nice. So we have the capsule. We're going to change it to a spear. Have it here. And we also gonna make sure we can so we haven't set the size yet. We need to set the size. Set size random. So let's do from 1 to 3. Not the size. I'm sorry. What I mean is I want to set lifetime, of course. And we also, again, gonna do set lifetime random. We want it to be random. So I just want it to be between 1 and 3 seconds. I think that's good enough. So they will disappear eventually. And also I want to set the color over life here. Set color life over life. And I also want to scale it over life. So we can just as well scale life. Set the scale. So now let's see what happens. So now we're starting to get things here, and let's fix the scale first. So instead of going in and tweak these one by one, I'm gonna do just a curve, sample curve like this. Actually, I'm gonna do curve, animation curve like this. So now we just need to tweak one, and I'm gonna do maybe like this one. So that's gonna be nice. And also change the color. I'm gonna have something like really dark in the beginning, and eventually it's gonna become white, and then I want some black in the end like this. Yeah. So this is the smoke trails, and let's see, what am I thinking? So you can see the trail is pretty uniform. So I would like to have some kind of randomness to it to make it not go so exactly the same pattern each time. And before I do that, I think I'm going to break the tutorial right here and continue in the next one because it's starting to get pretty long. So see you in the next one.